Okay. Welcome everyone to our poetry workshop brought to you by Help at Hand as a part of the 10th annual Jack's Poetry Fest. Every April, Hope at Hand partners with a consortium of poets, cultural institutions, art agencies, and poetry enthusiasts to celebrate National Poetry Month with a special festival of poetry. Help at Hand is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides art and poetry sessions to vulnerable and at-risk youth populations. They facilitate healing and personal growth for children and at-risk youth through the use of poetry, creativity, art, and therapeutic approaches. Today's workshop on slam poetry is led by facilitator Ty Scott King. Ty is a Grammy-nominated poet, award-winning rapper, and Billboard charting artist. A 2 times best-selling author, National Slam poet for 3 years, and voiceover artist for major brands like McDonald's. She has performed at the U.S. Pentagon and internationally. Ty inspires others to pursue their purpose. We're very excited and honored to bring you this amazing performer poet. Go ahead, Ty.
Thank you. I always giggle when people are introducing me because I'm like, man, I get to do some cool stuff. It's pretty amazing. So thank you all so much for having me here. I'm excited. I just want to share a little bit more about my history and why I love poetry and how it came to be. So when I was 8 years old, I had a desk in my room. For some reason, I thought everyone had a desk in their room and they just sat in there and wrote poetry day and night. But I had siblings and they didn't do that. So that should have given me a clue that it wasn't a normal thing. But I've always loved to write. So I started writing poetry at 8. I went to a school of the arts for music where I learned to play the piano and sing. And so I thought those things would be the thing that would allow me to travel the world. It's not that I was downplaying poetry. I didn't see other poets other than like Dr. Maya Angelou or, Nikki Giovanni. So it wasn't a thing where I had peers who were also writing poetry that I knew about. So I went to School of the Arts for Music. Then I went to University of Florida. I think I heard Miss Bonnie saying something about Gainesville when I came on. And so I studied English because I believed that that was really the thing that I could actually pass college doing. I didn't feel confident in any other um, major except for English, and so that's what I graduated with was my degree in English, a bachelor's. But while I was there, I took a poetry class that I almost failed, and my poetry teacher told me that basically I needed to write about some other stuff other than love, which I really didn't even know anything about, but I was just constantly writing love poems, and he was like, "No, you have to expand your your writing a little bit and get out of this box that you have for whatever reason put yourself in." So I grew as a poet in that class and just learned how to express myself in more ways about more topics. Moved to California and then ended up becoming a part of the poetry scene there in LA, and that's where I got to travel to go do poetry slams. And so it's just been a really great journey of learning about who I am and being able to express that through poetry, and telling my own story and other people's stories has been, just life changing for me. And so I've put out two full length spoken word albums. I put out a poetry book and just other things, but the two poetry albums are what have opened the door in the Grammy Recording Academy arena. And so to be able to put spoken word on that level has just been really amazing, because as a young poet, again, it wasn't something where people were like, oh, there's a whole spoken word category in the Grammy Awards. And so I've just watched the art form bloom and shape over time. And so I just love being able to do workshops. And I chose the slam poetry workshop because slam is so much fun and I like it. And so if you can put up the slides, that would be great, and we'll dig in some more. I heard that you all like to write, so I leaned into that, and so we'll be doing some writing. So this is the JAX 2025 Poetry Fest. I am Ty Scott King. We're talking about slam poetry, and we're going to just go through the slides. Hope you all have something to write with, something to write on. I like when I can't remember like the order of a set when I'm going to be performing somewhere. Sometimes I just write it on my arm, and people probably think it's a real tattoo, but it's not. It's to guide me so I don't forget what I want to do next. So as the slides are coming up, we're going to be, yes, ma'am.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just go in as the slide is coming up. I'll go to my performance where I'm talking about the first thing is finding your story. You know, what is that about? What can you say about yourself to people that can really unlock something in you as well as them? Oh, hello from Los Angeles. Nice. So yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I'm messing this up.
You're
Just
okay.
just a minute.
You're okay. Take your time to find the slide. I'm gonna so as I talked about being a slam poet, the very first time I went to a national poetry slam was in the late 90s in Chicago. And it was exciting because I'd never been in anything like that before. And so if you all are not familiar with the poetry slam world, they actually score you. So there are judges that are randomly picked, and they literally throw up a score in your face. They're not hiding it. And you can get as low as I've seen people get zeros, which hurt my heart for them. I had secondhand embarrassment. And it can go all the way to 10. And so that kind of steeled me in the poetry world. And so now when I go different places, I feel less bothered by people's facial expressions. Oh, Providence. Yes, I went to Providence for slam. I've been kind of steeled to people's facial expressions. Not that I don't appreciate when people are responsive and they smile, but that type of environment, fend for yourself, will teach you how to be strong and have some grit. And so I'm going to share actually the first piece that I ever wrote or that I ever performed at a national poetry slam, and it's called "I Carry Jamaica with Me." On June 22nd, 19 something, my mother gave birth to me, a pretty baby girl as precious as a gem. My daddy said I was so little that he could hold me in the palm of his hand. So they had to leave me in the hospital for a while in a town not too far from St. Anne. But before I got to play in the sand too tough, my parents decided we had to leave. They were in search of a better life and they could no longer find it in Jamaica. So they moved us to Brooklyn, as was a common migration, and we lived in a brownstone duplex far away from our home nation. I couldn't wait to start school to see what America was about. But when I heard the way everyone else talked, I didn't feel like I could open my mouth. You see, it wasn't that I wasn't proud of being an island child. It was just that even at that age, I knew I had to fit the profile and walk in the single file line where everyone talks the same and follow the signs to the American dream, which they said would carve out our claims to fame. I didn't know then from where my feelings came, but I later found out that this country was designed from its conception to make everyone the same. They call it assimilation or melting into the pot. But to me, the pressure under that fire was just too hot. It's not that America hasn't given me a lot. I thank God for the stars and stripes. But don't make me check my culture at the immigration table. So when I write about my homeland, I write with a lot of pride because I have nothing to hide. The island of my birth is one of the most precious on earth, where some of the finest men and women are grown. So when I ask you, what you know about the island with its luscious mango trees? What you know about the island with its year-round tropical breeze? What you know about the island where Bob Marley was free and no woman did cry? You can't hear me? What you know about the place we represent for the human race, with all type of colors, cultures, and nationalities roll up in a one. What you know about this place? You can't understand? You think that all it is a place full of some good looking, patty cooking, oxtail, curry goat, and jerk chicken eating folk? Come now. What you know about the island? When I ask you these questions, I'm inviting you to learn about me. Because in this country, they told me when I came, I have the right to remain free. Therefore, I carry Jamaica with me as I walk in the line. I carry Jamaica with me as I follow the signs. I carry Jamaica with me. I carry Jamaica with me. So that was actually an amalgamation, or is that the right word? Yeah. I put together two poems because with Poetry Slam, um, there's a certain length. So you can't go over 3 minutes. Thank you. I see the comments. Thank you so much. You can't go over 3 minutes, otherwise you start getting dinged. And initially the poem was pretty short. And so my teammates were like, make it longer so that it can be about 3 minutes. And poetry for me has always been about what can I bring of myself? What can I offer people that may have similar backgrounds, or even enlighten people who have no idea, never been to Jamaica, don't know what it's like to grow up in another country that they weren't born in. And so for step one, I would say it's find your story. What are some moments that changed you? What are some challenges you overcame? What are some small but significant memories? So we might, something to us might be, oh, that's no big deal, but to someone else it can really be the thing that they hear that unlocks so much inside of them. So I'm going to take you all through some steps where we're going to write a poem, 1 to 2 minutes, and that's roughly 15 to 25 lines. So we're going to start by identifying a personal experience that left a mark on you. I think that some of the most powerful slam poems that I've heard come from authenticity, lived experiences. I write poems because sometimes I am commissioned to write them. So I may write Selena's story. She may say, "Oh, write a poem for me for this. Here's some information," and I'll put it together. But it's powerful. But I think the most powerful ones come from like your truth, your experiences. So I want you to think about moments of transition, revelation, or challenge in your life, or something happy. We don't have to go with all the hard stuff. And we're going to aim to create a slam poem that's about, again, 15 to 25 lines long, something that you can perform in 1 to 2 minutes. Again, as I said, the cap on a slam poem is about 3 minutes before they start dinging you. So I would like for you to take about 3 minutes to write about one meaningful experience that still carries emotional weight for you. So if it's in a poetic form, great. It doesn't have to be right this moment. The key for now is to focus on what's that experience and what was like, why do you remember it? So I have my timer because I want to be able to stop you all, and I don't want to do the annoying, not annoying. I don't want to do the Jeopardy, and keep you from focusing. So 3 minutes on the clock, and I'll let you know when we're at 1 minute. Right, we're at 1 minute left.
Sorry, what are we supposed to do? Can you please put it in the chat? Thank you.
Okay, so that's our time for that. Please continue to write. I didn't drop it in the chat until pretty late, so if you need more time as I'm talking, please take it. Um, I think the slides are working. All right, awesome. So, um, what is slam poetry? It's performance based, it's emotional expression, it's a range of emotions and topics, it's rhythm, it's flow, and it's storytelling with an impact. So, we don't want to get locked into. I hear a lot of slam poets now, and sometimes I feel like they sound all the same. And so, we want to make sure that it's us, it's natural to us. I've seen some poets on the national stage and locally. I remember this one guy, he used to have his a notepad, and he would like literally tear the pages off and throw them when he was done. Like, it was his whole act. And so everyone was different and unique, and I think, there's definitely a need to keep that. So we were writing just now, you were writing about moments that changed your life or a challenge that you overcame, something small but significant to you. Um, so slam poetry, just a little backstory on it for those who might not know, it originated in Chicago in the 1980s. A guy named Mark Kelly Smith, he was a construction worker and a poet, which is very, that's a very interesting um, yeah, two very interesting occupations. And he started this movement. So slam poetry, as we talked about, is very expressive. It's raw. It's your emotion, or it should be, and it's meant to be performed, not just silently read. People have asked me, well, what's the difference? Do you call yourself a poet or a spoken word artist? And I've gone between the two, and to me it's the same, because whatever you read on the page in my poetry book, I'm going to be expressive when I do it. So I think they're interchangeable, but most people say slam poetry when they're talking about, the performance of it. And so the first National Poetry Slam was held in 1990 in San Francisco, California. And as you all heard, I gave an example of my poem I shared with you. It's called I Carry Jamaica With Me. And that was my first time. I'd been going to the local poetry spot in LA, but that was my first year of going to the National Poetry Slam. And I did that poem. And it did really well. Our team made it to the semifinals. And so, you can't win them all, but it was a great experience. So for our next slide, we're talking about finding your story. What are the moments that changed you, the challenges you overcame, your small but significant memories? That's what you took some time to write down. So you wrote about your personal experience that left a mark on you, and now we want to get back into your writing. And on the next slide, we're talking about finding your viewpoint. So you know your story, you've locked in on what it is you want to share. Now we want to talk about how has that changed your perspective, that significant thing that happened to you. For me, in the poem that I shared, it was coming to America at the age of 4 and having this accent and wanting to like get into the American scene, but learning like, okay, They want me to lose my accent. Now I need to talk like a New Yorker. Like, what is what is happening here? So, how did your significant experience change your perspective? How is time change your perspective on that experience? Time for me has said, okay, I've learned, to do a little bit more melding in. Now I sound more American than most of my family members. But I've also learned how to, I guess, pull those two worlds together and stand in the middle as a Jamaican American. And then another question that you can explore as you write in this section is, what do you understand now that you didn't then? And you can use this section to speak from your past or your present self. So we're building out this poem on the idea of your experience, and you can talk about it, how you're feeling about it now, or how you felt about it then. In my poem, I shared how I felt about it then and how I feel now. So it can go whichever direction you want. Emotions are what fuel slam poetry. So your personal experiences, they gain power when they're explored through different perspectives. How do you view this experience now compared to when it happened? What wisdom or insight have you gained? You might write from your past self, like I just said, or your current, or alternate, or maybe you might want to write about how you think you'll feel about it in the future. So we're going to take 4 minutes to write some lines that capture the evolution of your perspective and try to create some tension between what you felt then and what you understand now. So um, try to write where it's like, okay, there's some change or some shift in, that past and present. So I will give you all 4 minutes. I'll drop the question or the notes in the chat so that it's clear what it is you're working on now. And I will start your 4 minutes. I'll let you know when we're 1 minute away. All right, you all have 1 minute. Okay, that's our time. I want to say that I want to remind and encourage that everything does not have to rhyme in a poem. I'm big on rhyming. It's the rapper in me, but just know that every line does not have to rhyme. So we're going to go to the next slide, and we're going to talk about finding your rhythm. It's step 3. So it's one slide back. Thank you. So I guess as a rapper, it's like I know that there's a rhythm there, and I'm always trying to find it. So slam poetry relies on rhythm, like music. So we want to vary our pace. As I shared, the poet who would tear the pages out and he said everything really fast. And there's always that poet. I think there's always that poet that's like the speed race poet. And then there are poets that are slower, more methodical, and then there's the in between. So find your pace, and I think a big key is to vary that pace, like an accordion. You want to stretch it out, you want to pull it in, you want to have some hills and peaks and valleys, hills and mountains, all that stuff. The ebb and the flow, because I think our rhythm and our pace really helps to pull people in. And I remember someone telling me who is he does a lot of speaking, and he was saying that basically after 2 or 3 minutes you have to switch it up because people start to zone out. So I know people who write very long poems, like 10 minutes long, which I don't know. I don't prefer that, probably because the 3 minute timer is ingrained in my mind from slam poetry. But in that 3 minutes, you want to pack as much into there as possible and really have some ups and downs, some highs and lows, not necessarily in the content, but in the way that you deliver it. So vary your pace. Repeat key phrases. I still do it quite a bit where I may open a poem with a certain line or two, and I'll in the middle put those lines again, and then at the end, I think that helps to round out the piece. It's not always necessary, but I think it's good, especially when you're like, I don't know how to end it. Cool, I'll just end it like I started it, and somehow it works like magic almost every time. Use your pauses strategically. So really, let the room breathe. Sometimes we don't like to sit in silence if that might be the case. But if you're asking a question, like I have a particular poem that people love to hear, I get a request for it all the time, and I ask. Basically, it's about a superhero, and I say, a question about who is the superhero, and I'll pause, and I paused once, and a little boy he said the answer, which was not a part of the way the poem goes for me, but I liked it because it's like, yes, this is why we take these pauses so that people are thinking and they can blurt out stuff or whatever the case might be. So a pause can be your friend. And then we're gonna try reading your piece out loud. So um, where do you naturally speed up or slow down? We're gonna take a few minutes for you to read so that you can, highlight maybe or do little marks of where you might want to speed up or slow down in your poem. You're going to experiment with repetition, maybe throw some of that in there, an important word or a phrase. If your poem is about California, you may want to put that in there a couple more times. If it's about being patient, kind of do what you can to drive that point home. And then see if there's some pauses that you can add in there if you're asking a question or if you're making a really powerful statement that you want to kind of put a stop after so people have a moment to think about it within this 3 minute constraint. um, try to get that in there just to give it a chance to breathe a little bit and for people to really kind of hang on your words. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to read it out loud, think about your rhythm, mark some places where you might be able to put some pauses. Basically, everything that's on step 3, I'll put it in the chat as well, but keep those things in mind. Read it out as you're reading it out loud, kind of vary your pace, mark where you can do that, where you can put some pauses. And so I'm going to give you 3 minutes. One minute. All right. These next few slides are just some pointers on how to fill out the poem a little bit more, finding some power words instead of something you might want to be a little more concrete than abstract, get specific, really granular. You don't have to pour out your whole soul unless you want to, but your wording, try to really be specific instead of general, create some sensory language and try to get words that resonate instead of saying sad. You might try devastated. You might say hollow. Just really try to get some words that pack a real punch. On our next slide, create vivid imagery. Great slam poetry creates a picture in the listener's mind, because they may be hearing it, they may not see you. You might be such a sea of people at your performance that the audience can't, someone in the audience can't see you. So try to make sure that your words are really creating a vivid story. Show, don't tell. I mean, you're speaking, so you are telling, but really create a picture. Use some metaphors and similes, create some sensory experiences. Like, my husband is a retired chef, and when he leaves the kitchen, I get nervous that it's going to burn down. So I might not be angry. I might say that my rage boiled over like a forgotten pot on a high flame, like just intense. Bring some intensity. And then, really build that visual world. And then the next slide, step 6, our performance techniques, our voice modulation, like we talked about, going up and down. Just think about the hills, the peaks and valleys. Modulate your voice. Get loud, get soft. I usually start my poems off pretty soft, and by the end, I'm louder, and then I may get quiet again. And then, as we talked about, your strategic pauses, your body language. If you're reading a poem that has a lot of energy, make sure move those arms. It's cool. Like, Poetry Slam allows you to really like do a full body workout, basically. Try to keep that eye contact with your audience, or pick a spot in the room if you're shy and just focus there. And your facial expressions, really do everything you can to give a full range of your emotions. And then the final tips, we want to begin and end strong, stay authentic, and time yourself to make sure you're in that 2 to 3 minutes, especially if you're gonna be doing slam poetry, because you don't want to lose points. Trust me, our team one year lost making it into the finals because one of my teammates went overtime and got dinged, and yeah, it was heartbreaking. So keep your time tight. And for this particular poem, we were writing 15 to 25 lines, because that should be about 1 or 2 minutes. And practice makes powerful. Not necessarily perfect. I forget poems that I've been doing for a decade. Sometimes I forget a line, but does everybody need to know that? No, because I don't freak out. I just keep going. But practice will give you that power that you're looking for. And remember that slam poetry is about speaking your truth, your way. There's not a cookie cutter way to do it. Be authentic. So I would love for you all to share your voice. You can do that by sharing the piece that you wrote, or just sharing a truth that you learned about today. What truth did you speak about? How did you feel to create this poem? You don't necessarily have to read the poem. I want to make that clear. If you just want to talk about how writing about that particular thing might have helped you or given you another perspective, that would be great. And then after this, once you sit with your poem, just try to go back and look at some words that maybe you can make stronger, based on the last couple slides that we went through. Just try to bring more emotion, maybe change out I walked to I trotted along at a hurried pace, just, something to really create more imagery if your piece currently does not have that. So that is my time, and I'd love to hear from y'all. Sure. Darlene has her hand raised. Let me see if I can. Oh.
Yeah, I just want to say that I love this, and it's given me a different perspective with writing. Like I put in the chat, I'm new to writing, just acknowledging that I am a poet. But this was my first poetry month, Um, but this was really good. And so I wrote about my experience of being myself. So experiencing myself for the first time without hesitation or fear, saying things the way I want to and not worrying or caring if I'm understood, not trying to protect someone's feelings, being in the world that I chose but did not really understand. It was hard all the time, not being able to be free with my voice, my thoughts put down, my ways, the way I was born, always questioned, always misunderstood. My nature is to be helpful, supportive, take the back seat. It was always okay with me. But when those close question the real you, it hurts, puts you in a weird headspace, for sure. But I'm glad I'm free and in a space where it's all about me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
And that was fun. Thank you. It
Yeah,
was fun.
good, good. Thank you so much.
Mm.
One thing I love about writing in general and sharing, I've said this in other instances, I feel like when people get under those lights at a poetry spot, it's like their soul just cracks open. And so I really appreciate you sharing that because it gives somebody else the freedom to talk about their life experiences. Someone in the chat says, thank you. I talk text my poem for the first time. It freed me up to really be me. New ideas flowed in. I love that. Thank you. I see Renee's hand is up.
I just was wondering, is this also posted online?
I do not know. If our Hope at Hand rep can answer, that would be great.
The workshop will eventually be posted, a recording on their YouTube channel. They have Hope at Hand has a YouTube channel. It won't probably be up for a couple of months, but it will eventually be posted up there. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll go. Um, a little black girl in kindergarten. No one held her hand, except one little black boy and one little white boy. But the little black boy didn't want to hold the little nappy-haired black girl's hand. He wanted to hold the little curly-haired Latina girl's. They all did, even the little white boy. So the girl learned she wasn't pretty. When I was older on the subway, a black female told her male friend, "I hate beep beep nappy-headed black girls." Even to this day, nappy black females just ain't pretty.
Wow, Renee, thank you for sharing. Like these, I guess, full stop moments, these traumatic experiences, they, I don't know, they can really stop us from growing. That's why I'm glad that we talked about perspective because it's like, okay, what is your perspective now? You know, so thank you for sharing your poem and just your experience overall. Unfortunately, there's still similarities today, but it's refreshing to hear from your perspective. So thank you. Yeah, someone in the chat said you can really feel your emotion in that piece, Renee. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I definitely agree. someone else said thank you for sharing something so difficult. I saw a comment. Shu, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, said it is always a wonder how details, specifics, whole forgotten experiences come back as I write. Heather said, I wrote about an experience that I had with my dog during one of his walks, and it spiraled into a thing where the transition doesn't happen quite yet, but it's engaging. Good. Yeah, definitely that emotion that we just heard in that piece. And um, I've written pieces where I thought it wasn't done yet. I remember calling a friend and I was like, I don't know how to end this poem. And she's like, maybe that is the end. And so I left it and never added anything more because sometimes we think something isn't finished when it actually is. And we can mess it up by trying to tie this perfect little bow at the end. So I really like Renee's piece because it still leaves a lot of tension just hanging. Like, okay, but if the reality is tension, then that's the reality. So yeah, Darlene said beauty is always in the eye of the beholder. Agreed. Um, well, thank you all for sharing your poem. I think we may have time for one or two more if anyone else wants to share. And then I'll hand it back over to our Hope at Hand rep, whose name I should know.
I should have put it on here. I'm Ruth Finelstein. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No worries. I'll put it on me. I'm like, why don't I know names?
Beth has her hand up.
Awesome.
Hi there. This is super new to me. This is only the second poetry workshop I've ever been to. I started writing about 6 months ago to explore some feelings that were too difficult to touch without the space that poetry seems to give to bring things to surface. What I did today was expand on a poem that I've kind of been working on. So I was able to get a bit of an introduction, which I didn't have before. It's not a complete bit, but I'll read you a bit of it if that's okay.
Absolutely. Please do.
If I could go back now to hold that precious soul, I tell her baby girl the greatest gift is to be alone. You'll rewrite the story, you'll carve your own path, you'll do amazing things, babe, and never look back. You're an athlete now and an artist too. You're also a poet. I don't know how that happened. There's colors in your life you've never seen before, none of which would have happened if you hadn't slammed that door. I took her hand and told her, it's okay to be afraid, but baby girl, don't ever let that darkness fill your days. I held her close and told her, it's okay to sometimes fail. Oh, baby girl, remember, failure's just a phase. It paves the path to wisdom. You can handle this with grace. Oh, baby girl, don't let them carve their fears into your face. They'll see you in your armor, but will never know your scars. Oh, baby girl, never forget to stay true to your own heart.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Was that a poem from yourself to yourself?
Yeah, it's to the different bits speak to different parts of me from different time periods.
Yeah,
There's still more to add to it, I think, but yeah.
very beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I like the repetition of baby girl throughout. So yeah, very beautiful. Okay. Well, I will hand it back to you, Miss Ruth. Thank you all. Before I definitely want to make sure I say thank you to everyone who came. I appreciate you all. Um, I hope this is okay for me to say that you all can find me and follow me, Ty Scott King. Just Google me, you'll find me. And I love to make new friends.
Yes, that's great. All right, thank you so much, Ty. That was a wonderful workshop, except for my messing up. But anyway, it all worked out fine. All right, everyone, this is your feedback matters. You can use your phone here to complete this short survey. You'll also be getting a follow-up email with the same code if you can't quite catch this here. We want to thank our sponsors, Florida Arts and Culture, Poetry Foundation, Jim Moran Foundation, and More Art Culture, Dolores Barr Weaver Fund, and the City of Jacksonville, Florida, for supporting Jack's Poetry Fest. So with that, I want to thank everyone for coming to our workshop. And it's been a wonderful experience. And so you all have a great weekend, and that's a wrap.
Thank you so much.